Test, 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 test. Is that working?
Yep.
Okay. Test it.
Check out the mirror, right? All right, can you hear me okay? Oh, I shouldn't sing, should I? Oh, yes. Call to serve, maybe. Practicing in New York and practicing in Utah. Wow. Vast gulf. It'd be like trying to do comedy at BYU and Berkeley in the same show.
He has his own practice.
Just hearing.
He has an office in Aura. Clients, but
Yeah. Well, and there's so much pleadings practice. You're always filing. You're always meeting with people and they're putting together their story. And then you're going through saying, well, yeah, I can use this. Is there any evidence to support this? And that's the biggest nightmare because it turns into the biggest he said, she said mess. And the judge is completely cynical, having heard it all. And they like a month later, you'll get this host of this psychiatrist, this psychologist, this family counselor, and exactly the same.
I need the court to tell my husband to use this particular toothbrush for my child. My husband was just like, like, oh. So yeah, he wants to get out.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. Oftentimes, if you look at an actual divorce from start to finish, especially if it goes to trial, there's usually a change in counsel, 2 or 3 that you run into at least, because nobody's ever happy, and nor should they be. I mean, this is one of the most tragic things that can happen, and it's yeah.
My husband tries to listen and be somewhat of a therapist, but
Mhm.
the court, he makes it sound like the court doesn't care about that.
None, yeah,
Like,
not at all.
you can't.
Well, it's not a personal injury case. It's not an emotional abuse case. It's we're splitting the assets and we're going to set up a plan for the management of the children until they reach the majority and start creating their own problems. That's what it is, and it's painful, and that's what it is. It's and he looks over at what I'm doing, and he looks down at my wedding ring, and he had like this spade beard, kind of, and it was very sharp and closely trimmed, and he had this super intent look with these piercing blue eyes and a dark, almost black beard. And he looks at me and he's like, I see you're married. Kind of thing. And he goes, don't ever, ever, ever get divorced. I was like, you got it. Wow. Yeah. Just if you've done family law, you're like, nah, count the cost. So what time? We could do MST, Mormon Standard Time. Yeah. Or maybe UST. I don't know what to call it. What do you call it?
We have one online.
Hi, we're waiting for a few more to show up. Awesome. In a Thai restaurant? No. It was grandmother's maiden name, dad's middle name, my first name. So that's how it worked its way down. That's hard to, it's hard to criticize, I have to admit. She was this little petite thing, and I was in New York working for Wall And she opens it up and she goes, "This was amazing." And she said, and I was eating it on the plane, waiting for us to taxi and take off. And she said, I looked at the recipe, you know, all the ingredients on the back. And she said, and then I about dropped, you know, her coffee, I about dropped my coffee. And she said, 1,800 calories, 1,800 calories. She said, I think I've just found the solution to world hunger. She said, we flutter down to the surface and that would take care of everything. 1,800 I'm like, how do you do that? What did you make it out of? Shortening? Yeah. So tell me her name again.
Jessica.
Jessica. All right. Well, apparently you two and whoever the only ones who need or would like to have more clients. More qualified buyers, because that's the nightmare, right? It's
Like good information.
yeah. Well, we'll get to it, but sorry, I want to jump ahead. I just want to launch.
They are agents. I was just gonna say, give them at least 5 minutes, but it's already 1:08.
Just ready. All right. We're ready. I want to make sure Jessica's okay. Yeah. My wife and I, we had 2 kids and I said, great, we're done. Boy, girl, right? We're solid. And my wife goes, no, I want more. And I said, well, do you mean 3, you know, or maybe 4? And she said, no, 7. So guess how many kids we have?
7.
Yeah, exactly. She's a very good negotiator, my wife. And I don't know what goes on. I don't know what goes on during childbirth, but my wife would be free, like not even delivering the, and she's, you know, with the next one, I'm thinking, I'm like, weren't you in that room with me? But anyway, I don't know. That's amazing. You know? Yeah, well, yeah, and yeah, she wanted 7, we have 7. All right, guys, we'll get started. I'm Curry Andrew. 3 offices, 2 in Idaho, 1 in Utah, right down here near Riverwoods, so close by. I was approached by Allie Bills up at Intercap Lending, and Allie said regulations, and she was curious if there was a way to actually happen. She had a lot of big problem. We've got rising prices. Income is always way slow in coming up with inflation. And we have people with, but think about if you're on grandpa and you want to help out your child, you don't want to put $250,000 of your retirement money into a down payment, which you can't get back, just so that they can qualify for a mortgage. And you can't just give them money because that doesn't count. It doesn't check the box for income. And so mortgage officers often are struggling, especially small business owner, right? A small business owner, they have a, what am I actually making? You know, a lot more. I can easily afford this mortgage, but I can't prove it to get qualified. So that's the issue that we figured out a way to solve. And this is not what's called an asset mortgage. An asset, you have assets inside a trust, you give yourself payments for 12 months, and then those payments count towards income. It's not that at all. This is a lot quicker and a lot better. And we worked it out. I figured it out. The first couple of times underwriting was like, no. The 3rd or 4th time finally got it right. And we've been doing this for 2.5 years very successfully. dozens and dozens and dozens, I don't know, 200 maybe, mortgage applications successfully done. Never a bit of pushback from any regulator, anything, because it fit exactly within the requirements for Fannie Mae.
You should come back. He's doing them in how they do loans and businesses.
All right. Oh, did I do this somehow? Oh, there's the clicker. Yeah, let's go back.
You just have to click and then you can go back.
Let's go. Yeah, let's see. Nope, that's the right way. Oh, okay. Here we go. All right. So my big picture, which was the question, way better than in real life. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I've been practicing a long time, 2 decades roughly, and counting. And eventually I'm raising up the next generation. This is Vaughn Hokinson. He's sitting for the bar in July. And we're so excited to have him on the team and have Vaughn going up. I have 3 other attorneys working for me up in Idaho. So let's.
Since there's only 2 or 3 here, I'll probably be coming back, and we are preferred providers for KW now, so I'll try to circulate through the office.
It's like, no, they didn't show up. They did not get the same information.
Well, we'll just count on you guys. You get their referrals, send them over, and then we'll have the marketing company make out.
Uh-oh, I did it now.
I am not in charge of the technology.
Sorry.
Nope, it's okay. Get 2 chances.
Yeah, apparently. It's working. So
Choose this.
yeah, we'll just use that.
Let's use that. All right, so let's get back over here. No.
The only one.
So you press, okay, we just slide it back over.
There's the presentation down there on the right, the P.
It is like this got my jacket. It's in my email.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh, there it is. No.
Hey,
All right.
up to 4.
What's happening? Hey, Rob.
All right, guys, I'm going to start over a little bit. So income trust for mortgage applications. Can everyone hear me okay over the mic? Good. All right. So the DI problem, that is the big issue, right? Prices going not rapidly. You have small business owners, you have people with plenty of assets, but not enough income to qualify for a mortgage, or they want to help out a child or nephew or what have you, get underwritten. Just this one right here. There we go. Or not. No, it didn't. So I'm gonna, oh, there we go. Something moved. I think we'll put the mouse up there. All right. So let's work our way through it really quickly. Trust basics. The first most important thing when we're talking about trusts is open trust, a revocable trust, or are they a closed, irrevocable, cannot. 2 broad categories of trusts. A revocable trust is kind of like a shopping cart. It doesn't provide protection. It provides convenience. You can wheel it around, right? You can take stuff out. There's no bar on the but again, no protection. Irrevocable is more like the armored vehicle. The idea is you put it in there for a specific purpose and you lock the trust and you walk away. And the trust is then isolated, provides asset protection. Particular type of trust that we're talking about, this income trust, is a revocable trust. Oh, there we go. Wow, it is not quick. The revocable trust, so it's very easy to put money without tax consequence. If you have an irrevocable trust and you put money into it, it's a gift. It's a gift to something else. It has its own tax ID number. And so you're going to have to file a completed gift tax return or pay gift tax or something crazy. And then when you take it out, it would count as income because it's some other entity that's giving it back to you. And so it's right on your Schedule K as a distribution, and you don't have to pay taxes on it. So an irrevocable trust will not work if you're just trying to prove income for a mortgage, and that's the only for the trust. But the revocable will. So it has some of the provisions blown estate planning trust. I do those. That's my main line. The income trust kind of meets the minimum requirements for a trust, but it's not intended to be a blown estate planning trust to establish income ratio, right? Regarding a monthly income draw, that's the income that you're adding. It lists 36 months worth of income. So if you wanted to add $10,000 a month to your income, you deposit $360,000 in the trust. And then you say in the trust, this counts for $10,000 monthly draw. That checks the box for $10,000 worth of monthly income, as long as all those pieces are in place and the trust is drafted properly. And then after you trust, it's like that shop. You can take it's really good. You're only making $60,000 a year. You have an enormous number of assets there in your operating account. $360,000 over to a revocable trust. That adds $10,000 a month to your income. You close on the property, you move the money in an account. In line with the regulations, does the whole thing. Think about if you're parents, the exact retirement and put it into a down payment, which they never get back. They don't want to do that. They need that income, right? 30 days, prove income for franchise back. And the regulations for Fannie Mae. Yes.
Because, you know, when I think of trust, I'm usually thinking of a living trust or a family. Assets and things like that. So this is just basically for someone whose income is variable and it's hard to document.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're doing is we're putting money into a trust about loaning money.
Making it through underwriting.
Yeah, exactly. Because it follows the regulation. Exactly. It has to be there until you close on the property.
It doesn't matter when the trust, like if, say, the trust after you went under contract.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
You had to come down here, you're welcome.
Allie,
It's helped a lot of people. We have quite a few entrepreneurs and people who have the assets that they can't qualify because of the difficulty of proving income.
Mhm.
And we've been having 2 or 3 from Allie Bills, who's a mortgage lender, refer clients over to us.
and Sheila Trujillo at First Colony. She's done that with us, and we have put on the end.
So let me ask, I mean, are these the people that are maybe retired or they have like income coming off of rental property? Who really, you know, uses this type of thing?
Anybody who cannot meet the debt to income box. Anybody, as long as they have. $1,000, you're just adding $1,000 a month. So you're trying to incomes are not coming up as rapidly as the property values. And so $6,000 into a trust, you now income to your mortgage application, you now qualify, go close, the 36,000 goes back to Uncle Charlie in a very real simple. Yes.
Would help you for a minute, but I don't want on your loan for the next 30 years.
Yes, and guys, this is the magic, the really cool thing. This is the thing where everyone kind of, if he cares,
Trace it or
right,
it.
Fannie Mae doesn't care. If there's if there's $36,000 in the trust and the trust says 1,000. Did it for the specific reason that people would have additional resources, but an inability to count them rule put in because Fannie Mae recognized, hey, there's going to be people that fall without the box, right?
So somebody who's self-employed,
%50 do for our entrepreneurs, small business owners. Yeah.
but if, you know, since you're not doing it yourself, and somebody, it's just because you know somebody rich, you know, isn't that just kind of like saying, you know, smoking mirrors maybe?
You know, I understand that perspective, and that comes down to the individual who's choosing to do it. If the resource of arrangement where they don't have the resources to actually meet their obligations, obviously. And so you're right, somebody could misuse it.
I mean, it's obviously the using storage. If they ever default.
But then, you know, I can sense also as an attorney, I can sense legal issues with that. Hey, Uncle Charlie loaned me. Okay, I could prove fraudulent intent. And so I'm saying that one, the regulator, Fannie Mae, they have never come back or had a problem. And underwriters have 2.5 years.
I think is good to keep in mind is a lot of people are currently, it's very qualified for based on their income. And so, I mean, it's usually not going to be more burdensome if they're smart. I'm speaking from my own experience because I live in Heber and I'm trying to get a house and I'm 1,900. It's going to go up to $2,200 a month rent, which is a mortgage for a decent house. And the process of qualifying is going to be made easier for me using one of these trusts and the help of my father-in-law or parents. And so for me, I'm a professional, I'm going to pay that much anyway, I might as well be putting it into equity and have a quicker path forward than having to just slog away at rent for another 2 years. So,
Right. The other place and the other channel for finding and cover a mortgage for an investment property, purchase an investment property like a townhome near UVU or something, right? The other thing, issues are where you've got the resources to buy a house. You like that $1.7 million house and you've got 2.3 into the house. Because what if you move? What if things change? What do you going and buy it with a mortgage so that you only have a monthly obligation to cover and you have an exit if you need. Mortgage, put the fund work in the markets and not tie up all of your retirement funds or your investment funds and still be able to invest or get a. Let's see if I can get this thing to work. We're going to try one more time. I know I'm trying not to do that. But if I click down here, it just moves over here. So here we maybe, no, that's not what I want. I think it's other stuff that's going on. There we go. Is it the lending criteria? I quote it right there for you. The underwriters, First Colony and Intercap, and then we've had a couple of other banks and smaller lenders. Writing the trust vetted, and they go multiple times. So let's see, this one gonna work. Hey, all right. So there's Allie Bills. Noticed the regulation and asked me, is there a way to do this? And so we developed it. There's Todd Margits at Hillcrest Bank. He's up in Sandy. Yeah, okay. And Sheila Trujillo at First Colony Mortgage. We've done several. I would like to keep my business in business. And so the trusts are all copyrighted, obviously, but we are delighted to do them for any of your clients that need them. We charge a flat fee. That are necessary to the trust for mortgage purposes and the trust. Oh. And we pause again. There we go. So how are clients treated? Does anyone know my brother Jack Andrews? He works as a realtor for Edge. Yep. Do you know Jack? Jack's a good guy. Yeah, he's my little brother. He's taller. at our Utah office. Her name is Angel, and she is an angel. We treat all of our clients like gold. We really do. And we make sure that it's done properly. If you want to, you can contact Allie or Sheila and say, how did it go with Curry? Did it go okay? And you'll get an answer. I'm pretty confident what it'll be. They're done. They're not coming back to investigate mortgages. That's not their job. They're not interested in that. Testimonials, I mean, am I supposed to put you in touch with my clients so you can, okay, fine. If you want me to, I will. You can talk to other real estate agents who've used the process. Let's see, who's a good, Colleen Christensen. Yeah, ask her about me, right? I'm trying to think of somebody who real. Oh,
Yeah, she just came back to KW.
seriously?
Yeah, she works with Bob Barber.
Well, if I don't talk to her daily, I don't know what's going on then. I guess that's so funny.
Just recently.
Yeah.
Taking it back.
Yeah, back up.
So.
That's what the questions are for. Yeah.
So if I took a HELOC out of my home,
Mm-hmm.
which would count as debt to income, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
now I'd have that payment, but I put it in a trust. I would just need to make sure it makes sense as far as me qualifying. And it has to be 36 months, like it's a 36.
Yes,
month
it's
thing?
whatever it is per month times 36.
36,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what the regulation requires.
That's what the
Yeah.
regulations is.
So really, because I've seen people, what they do is especially if they have multiple properties, they'll take money out of their home and then they'll use that as a down payment on another one here, but you're saying if they don't want to use all that money as down payment, they can just do this as income.
Yeah.
Not so much down payment that is the concern,
It's the
it is the debt to
qualification.
income ratio and the ability to show income.
Yeah. Yeah.
That really is the piece that.
Well, but what he's mentioning is exactly the traditional approach. I can't afford it. My income doesn't allow me to afford it. So I'm going to have to put down a huge amount of money to reduce the mortgage payment to where I can afford it. Now you can use that same money to purchase without throwing it away, so to speak. You could even put it.
You have it on your own house, the debt on your own house, or you have it on the income property.
Right. Right.
You form this income trust.
Mhm.
From the income trust, you take the HELOC, or if let's say you have money,
Any money from anywhere.
you put it in the trust, they treat it as income.
Yes.
Qualify you for a loan.
Yes.
So I have a serialized LLC for investment properties and investors.
Yeah.
They could use that to then legitimize funds because they have realized funds coming from the serialization of each investment property. And this was just asked, how
Right.
can I need cash flow, but my abilities won't recognize their cash flow.
Right. So that is a way to fix it. But remember that it is cumulative. Like you can't just recycle the trust and use the same money to do buy this one, buy this one, buy this one, buy this one. It's cumulative. So if you have one trust, you have to treat it as though that trust is there.
It
And
has to stay in the trust.
no. It doesn't have to stay in the trust, but you have to treat it as though.
You can't do
Yeah.
like 10 of these trusts with the same money.
Right.
They're gonna look at each trust added on top of each other. So it's gonna be harder with the second trust than it is with the first.
So if you went for that third mortgage, so let's say you had home, took out a HELOC, you put $120,000, or I'm going to make my math easy, $360,000 into the trust. Now you have an extra 10 grand. And so now you buy your investment. Income ratio. So it's your total debt and your total income.
So pulling the money.
I was just gonna say, or until you can validate the income, like your leases at some point will be
Yes.
validated for, after 2 years or whatever, you'll get validated and need it as much then, but if you're trying to layer it.
How long does it take after putting the trust for it to be validated by these guys?
I've had people close in 15 days
Oh, wow, so immediately.
immediately.
So,
Yeah.
here's the thing so if I take
It depends on underwriting of the particular mortgage institution, right? But intercap, 15 days. Yeah.
if I'm taking money out, HELOC, I increase the income ratio.
Well, you're increasing your debt, but if you remember your payment is going to be, let's say you take out $360,000, your interest only debt is going to be around $1,800, right? You put $360,000 in the trust, you've increased your income by 10 grand a month. Your income by 8,200. Of course, remember debt to income ratio, it's not 1-to-1. Yeah, you have your mortgage officer do the math, right?
So if.
I love these questions, guys. These are great.
Hypothetically,
Yeah.
okay, well, first, how would you know if this is like the right move for a specific client? Like, do you guys talk to them first before setting stuff up and see if it makes sense for them?
Generally, it's the mortgage officer that contacts me. I have a client. Hi, Curry. I have a client. I get an email from Allie. I have a client. They need an extra $3,200 a month. And so we're setting up a trust. They have someone who's going to put the money in the trust. Here's their names. Would you contact them and we'll set up the trust? I set up the trust. I send a copy to Allie. They go to the bank with their trust notebook. They open up a trust checking account. They put the money in the account. They send a copy of the deposit to Allie. Allie submits all of that to underwriting. Check the box.
So say hypothetically under contract
Uh-huh.
and this loan officer doesn't know this exists yet.
Well, that might take longer for me to walk underwriting through the process.
From first call. Yeah.
Oh, then that should be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
So, oh, it's all right.
Well, let her finish. Let's, yeah.
So if they like decide, okay, maybe this is the right route, instead of going through a cosigner, could the funds come from family that's not in the country?
Are the funds located in a US banking institution?
I don't know.
Okay, if they're in a US banking institution, there shouldn't be a problem with transferring to another account,
Okay,
right?
so it would have to come to
Yeah,
the US and then be.
well, it'd have to be in the US. I'm not an accountant. I know a great deal about taxes, but I'm not allowed to know a great deal about taxes. And so you would want to talk to an accountant and say, I've got 1 million kroner over here in Denmark.
It'd be like a gift fund from family.
It's essentially, and
Not gift fund, a gift fund.
gifted funds don't matter, which I know is totally crazy.
Outside the country.
Well, that's where you might have a tax
Okay.
problem with bringing funds to the US. Caution, right? Because I don't want someone to gift you $360,000. What I don't want to happen. Okay. Well, no, I'm just writing the document. I'm not transferring, I'm not the bank, and I'm certainly not the IRS. So, absolutely, yeah. And
Just have a unique situation.
it tends to cross the border with Mexico all the time also, and Canada. I've seen those transfers before, but that's something to be determined. Yeah, be careful. Yeah, another question?
So,
Yeah.
so let's say I rent a house for
Okay.
$1,700, right? I have 30 in the bank, right? I know the market's crazy, so just disregard me putting out the market because
Yeah.
that's not enough to do something. So I take the, let's say I want to qualify for, well, in this market for that, you could probably qualify for something $33,000 home,
Mhm.
somewhere around there. The interest rate went up, so I don't know. But so basically, you create the trust with you guys, you put the 30,000 in, and then that allows you to realize those funds to apply to better qualify for loans.
Yeah, the 30, let's,
I think so nasty, but I.
just for easy math, let's make it $36,000. So you put the $36,000 into your trust account. The trust says, from available trust assets, I will be paid $1,000 a month. That's my monthly draw. With the $36,000 deposit and the trust, you send that to your mortgage officer and you've just proved $1,000 worth of income per month.
You just upped your yearly income.
Well, your monthly by 1,000, so 12,000 a year, right? That's what you've done. And that's how it works. And it was funny because I've read the lending criteria, I don't know, 50 times, 60 times, right? And Allie Bills, Curry, I was reading this. Can you do this? And guys, it was like a lightning bolt. Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't do that. And so we worked our way around it. We figured it out. I've been on the phone with regulators 2.5 years ago at Fannie Mae. I also called Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac's regulations do not have this lending option. And they were like, no, absolutely not. I was like, great, click. Hey, Fannie Mae. Anyway, went back to Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae said, of course. Yeah, that's what the regulations say. As long as it meets the regulations, we're good.
I don't think it's for everybody, but I think there's a time and a place for it.
Yeah,
So not to be too, so the money doesn't matter where it comes from, and it needs to stay in the account for 30 to 60 days, probably something like that.
correct,
After your loan closes, it doesn't matter what happens.
correct.
Unless you go to qualify for another.
And then
loan.
Exactly.
And then it's
So
cumulative.
You're no
What-
longer being qualified to take it. It doesn't matter.
So let's say
Sorry.
you take the HELOC, you buy another house, you sell the house, you took the HELOC from, then you can just pay that off. Like there's no
Yeah.
penalties to pay anything off or.
No, it's the shopping cart, right? You put $360,000 in, you decide, I'm not buying that. Take $360,000 out. No tax costs because it's a revocable instrument.
It's
Um,
moving
yeah.
money.
It's
Moving it.
getting this to here and that to here. I have mortgage. I wish I had known about this. I had to fight tooth and nail and claw to finally get qualified for a mortgage. I bought my house for $145,000 a ways back, but still I bought it. And now I could qualify for a much, much more expensive house with this, which I could never have done before because I have a really good accountant.
Does it
So
matter what kind of loan program?
Well, that's a great
I- that is, the answer is,
Seen success in certain loan programs.
the answer is yes, but I can't really answer that. That's a mortgage officer specific question.
I
Yeah.
figured it was.
Yeah. But the answer is yes, you're going to find problems because there are certain mortgage programs that only will accept Freddie Mac funding criteria, and this is Fannie Mae. And so, but conventional, the most standard mortgages accept.
Okay, so what happens if you do all of this and then you actually don't buy a home? And now you've got a trust,
You just take the money out and
so there's.
you're out $1,000 for doing the trust.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, you need to
But
talk
the
about.
trust still exists, so you could.
Yeah.
Could
you
use it
just
again.
Take it as income for 36 months if you wanted to. I'm just like. well,
Right.
I guess I'm not gonna pay myself back. I want to keep it until I decide.
Right?
So, okay.
Yep.
You have to leave $1 in the bank account?
Nope. No, well, whatever the bank requires. You know, if you're at UCCU, isn't it like $5 in savings or something? Yeah. And but nothing for the trust. The trust is not affected by that. The other thing is if you entered into it and you decided to get one and you didn't use it for 3 years, modifications, amendments to the trust are free. You just call us back, we fix it for whenever you're going into funding, and it goes forward. So the dates are current.
So
That
does
sort
it
of thing.
automatically so I guess so you're showing it as income, but does it automatically pay yourself? Like, no?
This is a paper, it's just
paper.
just paper.
Got it,
Yeah.
got it.
We did run into one lender who said, we need to have 1 month's payment. That's what their underwriting wanted. So instead of 360,000, they put 370,000 first payment. After they closed, they just gave the 370,000 back to grandpa. Done.
So
Yeah.
if you did this and you had your HELOC payment, you could draw from the trust just to cover that until you figured out what you were doing.
Well,
Does that make sense?
you don't have to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, if,
You wanted to.
yeah, but you don't have to do that. The only thing that you do with the trust is you put the money in that meets the criteria, you check the box, you're done. Otherwise, you just keep the money in your own investment account or your own checking account, or, you know.
That's the question I have is that, say I'm not buying a house right now, I could just set up the trust like you were saying, and it
Mhm.
just sits there with no money in it
Right.
necessarily. And it's when we go to actually make, or we find the house, or we need to know the loan officer says we need this much money to make
Mhm.
this happen. Then at that time, we would modify the trust, put the amount in the account to be there.
Exactly.
But we could kind of prep and get everything in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this
The
flash
other
forward,
thing,
do I have like all this equity now, let's say the market does this, if I wanted to capture that equity,
Mhm.
I could do it now with my.
Oh yeah, but in that case, you pull the money out of your HELOC, you put it in your savings account and just pay from the savings or whatever. It's, you don't put it in the trust until you're headed to closing. That's when you put it in the trust, you check the box, and then after closing, you take it back out.
Pays for itself.
Right,
I'm
right.
catching.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
You
tracking
You
now.
would need some
tracking.
interest on that, right? You would need some, because your HELOC's a little bit more, you need some interest with the HELOC, right?
But that's okay,
Yeah.
because it's the same. It's
Right.
the same.
And a lot of people are doing that. They're maximizing their HELOC first, right?
They're not getting-
And so,
Are you required to show
And
the
like-
source of the funds?
no.
Every complicated.
So you
No,
don't
that's
have to say
exactly-
uncle.
Yeah.
I have a guy who has because HELOCs. and this-
Correct. And that's kind of like, you know, because for them, well, wait a second, for this down payment, we need source of funds. You need to sign this affidavit. This is not a loan. This is a gift, blah, 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 right? You got to do all of that stuff. For the trust, no, you don't.
Or you should talk about how we apply it towards their estate plan.
Oh, yeah, guys. We charge $1,000 to do this sort of trust, but our main line is estate planning. We want to do your full estate trust. We want to do asset protection for you. We want to set up companies for you. We want to do a revocable living trust so your assets transfer to your spouse or your children or other heirs or charity. We well, it depends on what you need. And so the $1,000 from your overall estate plan if you want to do estate planning. If you don't, it's just $1,000, you know, but if you want to do estate planning, we deduct it. And we help people with asset protection, with transfer without probate, that sort of thing. What was that?
Let's say I have 10 properties.
Yes.
I need to get my LLCs set up for those, just basic ones, right? How much are you charging for an LLC? I've one sit in somebody's email for the last.
Okay. Now,
LLC's done.
I would usually take more time to explain this, and so I'm going to explain it to you in really, really short, okay? Anybody can go to the corporation's department of the Secretary of State and set up their LLC for $150 or $200, depending on how fast you want your certificate of organization. Great, go ahead and do that. Anyone can do that. And you can name it ABC Landholding LLC, PDQ, whatever you want to. That's great. You've just registered with the Secretary of State. That allows you to access certain tax provisions if you want to elect to be treated like an S corporation or a partnership if you have more than one person that aren't married to each other. Or if you want to do it as a guarded entity and just have taxes flow straight through, right? You can do all of that. But have corporate record books, and you're not having annual meetings, and you might be commingling funds because you haven't set it up and gotten an EIN and kept it actually separate. And so what happens? Sues you or sues, they have a slip and fall at one of their properties. Every single one of those paper quickie LLCs that you set up. And that's crap, right? Why are you paying for something that has zero asset protection? And you'll see it all over the place. Like, I love this, where they're like, oh, for $750, we'll give you your whole corporate book and we'll set up your company, right? It's online and you do it and you get the plain vanilla operating agreement and you never even read it. And most people don't even sign it. And they think that'll protect them from a pierce the corporate veil action from a host of attorneys that work at one of those big sign people. There's a car accident. Yay, we get all your stuff, right? That's why they can pay for the big billboards. So when I do an LLC, it's not cheap. It's not meaningless. You get ongoing support, you get help with your annual meetings and endless questions that come up. Curry's there, right? And I charge $2,500 to do the whole LLC, and you get the whole corporate book, and it's real. It's not just the quickie.
So then the next question is, if you were gonna do a series LLC, do you have to keep books in on each one of those, or can you?
Couple of different perspectives on that, and we could talk about it more. Oftentimes you have a holding company that has a series of LLCs underneath, and then the holding company acts as the umbrella. You can do a corporate book on each one. Usually you don't. Usually you don't, because the overall LLC is your umbrella. And that's where you get your umbrella policy. So you've got $2 million in coverage. That's what, $600 a year. If you've got 10 rentals, oh yeah, do that. And then that, well, do that. And so you've got this umbrella company that's operating all these smaller LLCs. That's who would get sued. And so you put all the protection there, and the series LLC goes underneath. And we charge like $250 to put together a series LLC after the major one's done.
So I
Right.
have a series LLC. I had a lawyer do it, but I don't have any corporate books or anything. So
See,
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
So I understand how I'm protected from one LLC to the other, and supposedly between my serialized and my holding, right?
Mhm.
But am I really protected without corporate books between my serialized and my holding? Because
okay.
this word is not necessarily legal.
Well, yeah, so we would have to talk about that in more detail. Okay.
These are the kind of classes.
Yeah.
No, give us these kind of classes.
I know, and there's not a quick answer. Asset protection, guys, what it really is throwing up a series of barriers that makes litigation more and more expensive and impossible. And at some point they say, wow, for this $25,000 debt, I'm not going to spend $150,000 in lawyer's fees to get to his assets or her assets, right?
It's just a barrier.
It's a barrier. Exactly. And so competent estate planning and asset protection lawyers do it right. There's lots of lawyers that do car accidents and criminal defense and family law and blah, 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 blah. Oh, and we also do estate planning. Really? You know, if you're not focused, it's usually not very good. That's all. You know, I'm a realtor and a mortgage broker and an insurance broker and a personal financial manager. And I also do, you know, I don't know, healthcare. Right, exactly. And are they going to be good at all that stuff? They can't, how much bandwidth do you have? You got to be focused.
This
That's
is
all.
what we do.
Yep. And this is all we do.
Meaning state.
I'm all estate and business. Yep. That's all I do.
Probate court, so we-
Nope. Nope. I pass that off to
Well,
lawyers
the
who
nice thing
like
is
going to
if you
court.
get a trust set up, you avoid probate. You don't have to deal with that at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. So I avoid going. Something. So yeah, I was like inches away from stroking out, right? And I just decided this is not good. If you care about your clients, the pressure is unimaginable, right? And you spend unbelievable amounts of time preparing for and fighting in court. I was in court chose to go with the one thing I loved, which was estate protection and asset, business planning. And that's all I do. And we're at 3 law offices and growing because people flat fee, one and done. You're not being nickeled and dimed to death. Oh, I have a question. Wait, let me start a timer. Mm-mm. We don't do that ever. And so we're different
So are you
and
okay
people
with
like it.
Questions?
Yeah, please. Yeah, call me. Yeah.
Gary's here every Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, 2 days usually a week. He's in office and we can set up appointments with you if you want to come in. We'd love to have any of your clients that have questions. Come in.
On a revocable trust,
Mhm.
give a range.
Yes.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah, if it's, little granny and she has her house and a car and $10,000 in the bank, we're going to be doing a revocable trust for her for about $1,000, right? Because it's very basic, it's very straightforward, it's really, really easy, and she needs it. She needs it. If we've got more assets, more substantial assets, we run in the $4,500 range because it's full treatment. Any changes? Oh, you bought another property. We put it in for free. You don't even get charged recording costs, et cetera. It's all included. But if you do an income trust, well, that drops to $3,500, right? And so that's how we do it. And we're full service. We're not going to nickel and dime you. And when you come back and need a change or something done or what have you, it's done. It's just taken care of. Yeah, we help transfer all the assets. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just don't do it. Yeah, they
Yeah.
get it all set up and no one ever records anything.
Exactly.
Sign it, notarize, and everything.
Right.
We have a notary in office. We take
Yep.
care of all that.
And we transfer yeah, I used to practice in Washington State for about 7 years. I repented, moved over. You haven't put anything in it. You haven't put your assets in it. Because if you haven't put your assets in it, then you got to go through probate to put your assets in it. What? Wait, I did the trust so I wouldn't have to pay $3,500 in probate.
So you've made a
Right.
trust, but never
Right,
actually.
so the overflow will is a part
Mhm.
of. having the,
Well, we do durable financial power of attorney. We do the HIPAA release for health insurance information portability accountability act restrictions on your confidential medical information. Wow, that's a bit of a. We do the advanced directive. We do the living will. We do the whole package. The whole package comes. I had a client come to me. Yeah.
Trust, it says,
that we do, see that, can I sponsor a seminar? We have a marketing company. It's called Mott and Bailey. Mott and Bailey is an old term for the castle, right? So marketing, what we do is we take your passive contacts and turn them into active income. So let's say you gave Vaughn 100 contacts. You've probably got thousands. So you give him 100 contacts, he calls them, he gets 15 or 16 people to attend a seminar, and 10 of those people sign up for trusts. Those are qualified leads, right? They came in, they actually signed up for a trust. You end up with $2,500, 100 contacts, and you end up with $2,500. And when you sponsor it, that's the cool thing, is we put on your name has sponsored this estate planning seminar. This is for your clients. You can to your reconnect about these sorts of income trusts. They can maybe expand their portfolio, help out a child to qualify for a mortgage. It increases not just turning that passive contact into active money, but it also increases your exposure, increases more opportunities to make a sale. We do it that way because, one, we want to sell estate planning, right? We want to make money too. And so handshake opportunity. Why we say, can I sponsor a seminar? Yes, yes, you can. Please sponsor a seminar.
That they're gonna put so much pain and financial pressure on their families by not doing their estate planning.
Oh, yeah.
Because probate is expensive, and you should tell them one of your stories about the families that, what's it called when two sets of families don't have.
Oh,
Well, like there's absolutely.
yeah, there's the dreaded double probate,
Yeah, double
which
probate.
happens. Well, going through probate twice. It's a nightmare.
For
Okay.
mom and
Mom needs to transfer assets. Some you can transfer, like the residence, but if you have rental properties, those have to go through probate. It just becomes a nightmare. So you file the probate and you transfer all the assets over to the surviving spouse, and then the surviving spouse dies. And now the kids or the heirs show up and they have to file what's called an intestate probate, because there's no testamentary document, no will, no trust, no plan. And oftentimes more than one sibling will lawyer up because they want to make sure their interests are covered, and they're not sure that Jenny should be the trustee or the personal representative because Jenny always used to cheat on Monopoly. And so, and that sort of situation happens. And I'm not joking, that came from a real case. And they lawyer up. And so all the lawyer fees keep going up. And if you get 2 or more lawyers in a room, they can't agree on the color of the sky, let alone distribution of probate assets. And they want to fight because they fight, the more fees they get. I don't do probates. I certainly don't do formal conflicted probates. I would rather throw myself into a pit full of punji sticks than do that. Although I've had to do it and I've never thrown myself in a
get
pit.
really expensive. So if you get a full estate plan, you're actually saving your estate thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in legal fees and probate.
So that's why we push for that and why we think it's wise and provide a good service, fully funded and up-to-date funding for your life.
I worry that, like, in our group of people, you could lose your money. I just feel like, because there's so, like, as you're working with assets and you're doing so much, and it's just a lot. It's not,
Yeah, but producing a deed takes at most about an hour, right? And recording it, maybe $40. And so what does it cost us? It's cost us staff time of about an hour and $40. And so, yeah.
Like, I'm so excited, but then I'm like, oh crap, my young kid who just got his first investment property, and I'm like, dude, it's gonna be $2,500. Like, that's hard for me.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense? Where I'm like, oh, I know you don't have a penny extra. We just got you to the you need to get this stuff set up, and hopefully we can build it like this, so you can build this.
Right,
But
right.
in good conscience, that's hard, but it needs done right. Half the other way, like we gotta get it done the right way, so.
Yeah.
So I'm conflicted. I'd rather pay you more for mine and make sure you charge him less. That would be my like.
That'd be fine. I'm if you want to give
Help my kids out, but
if
you need to get set
yeah,
right.
if you want to give your kid a gift certificate, it's dollar for dollar. We're not gonna go crazy. Yeah.
Where's your office?
Vintage 1, 2, and 3, right before you cross over the Provo River on Orem Center Street. That's where we are. We're in building 3 on the 3rd floor. We share the floor with the Freedom Festival, you know, the Stadium of Fire people. And we use their conference room. Oh, the other one's up in Chalice, because every time I go there, it's deductible and I can bring my fishing gear or my ATVs. Yeah. And
So
yeah.
basically, if somebody's got, say 10 properties and they're putting them into a trust, there's
well, they're going to want a parent or holding company at least, and then a series LLC underneath that the parent is running. Okay. Sometimes it depends on the cost and cost of insurance, et cetera. Oftentimes what you do is you have the holding LLC own all of the series LLCs. It has the umbrella policy. And then what it does is it rents the property from the series LLC and operates it inside itself. So therefore it's liable for anything that happens within the properties. See, that's how you arrange it legally. And it also is a good benefit tax-wise. It converts everything to rental income. It all flows out as rental income. It's,
I also maintain ownership.
yeah, you maintain ownership.
Property owner rather than an investor coming in and then,
Yeah.
ownership.
so what is
Right.
what is a business trust?
Oh, okay.
Only heard it.
Yeah, you have corporations, you've got companies, LLCs, you have partnerships. It's just a trust that operates as a business, essentially. And I know that's not at all, that's clear as mud. I get it, but it's just a trust where it owns business assets and it operates as a trust. You name a trustee instead of a president or a CEO, and it operates as a trust. Oftentimes people will want to set it up as an irrevocable trust so that it provides some asset protection and some isolation from an individual for asset protection, but it creates tax structure problems. It's not as efficient tax-wise, and it's definitely not efficient in terms of transfer.
Yeah.
If you want to shift assets all over the place, you can run into some pretty interesting tax issues. And by interesting, I mean expensive, not good tax issues. LLCs they're kind of the flagship of small business owners. This is what you want. You would only want a big company. So maybe if you were doing a reinsurance program or something like that, you might enter into a C corporation. Otherwise, you want an LLC. An S corporation has all of the formalities of a C corporation, which requires time and energy and administrative costs and everything, without a significant amount of protection otherwise. And so LLCs are lower administrative costs. They're easier to handle. You can still elect to be treated as an S corp if you want to, or a partnership, or a disregarded entity, or whatever. Yep. So LLCs are more flexible. They provide the most for the least amount of headache.
We worked with Molly to become KW, what is it?
Sponsored,
Preferred providers.
preferred. Yes, we're preferred.
So I'm gonna leave a few of these with you if you want to take them. We'd be happy to. Here, but we
But-
need to like get what we have to
Guys, I'll tell you though, remember, don't just hand these out and have people call us, because then we don't know who referred them and we can't compensate you back. And if you sponsor a seminar, it's in your name and it's for your clients and you get compensated for it. It's, I don't leave money on the table. It's great if you share it and they call us and we end up doing an estate plan for them, but it's way better for you if you sponsor a seminar and you don't. And then Vaughn and Catherine will be calling to invite them to a seminar that's free of cost and sponsored by you. And that's good.
Have you ever had somebody set up a big family one?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, tomorrow night, we're having, he's
I actually do.
he's a first sergeant in the Army, and he has a series of sergeants underneath him, and they're all pretty with their wages kind of low, military. They all need help to get.
I've got my family, we do a mastermind every once a month. Or he has to put out stock.
Yeah.
They all want to know about stuff like that.
Have it at our office. Yeah. And it's free. And if they sign up, you get compensated. We don't even have to tell them that.
Yeah, don't tell them that.
Is your office handle? So that's.
In the conference room, our max is around 20 people at a time. If we need more, what we do is we tend to like rent a senior center or something, and we go there, or a library presentation room, or even here. Yeah. Generally speaking, though, it tends to be, you're more able to answer questions if you have 20 people or less, as people just get lost in the shuffle, and I don't.
What do you charge to review a trust?
It's free. We review a trust, we go through works or doesn't work. Where's the funding documents? Do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? Have you done this? Have you done that?
And they really need to
You would want to review it every time there's a change in circumstances. Someone passed on, someone remarried, someone, a change in circumstances. And so 5 years is kind of reasonable, but it's not driven by the timeline. It's driven by the changes in circumstances.
But if it's different people memories, do that all day.
So when sponsoring a seminar, basically us generating
As long as the
recycle.
as long as
Mhm.
the primary.
Yep.
is different, you guys show.
Yeah.
The amount.
Let me check and see, I actually,
Because-
we'll wait for it to talk to somebody.
So,
And
so
about a month ago
basically
about
I would then.
doing
would
a
you funnel the
trust
money
fund.
from-
Is that your card?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
We'd
all
love to
right,
have you.
thanks.
Following
Thanks,
up.
guys.
So if
Thank you.
Would you funnel the money
doesn't
from-
materialize, then they give us all.
You're good.
Okay. Yeah,
So
thank you.
high level down.
Thanks, Erica.
Yeah,
Trying to get them, like,
yeah.
is they're gonna be like, well, I don't know what this will. So
Yeah, my brother approached me
to get away from
about this several years ago, because he's a realtor with Edge. He said he's got between 4,000 and 5,000 contacts,
I think I-
you know.
close today.
And he said, how can I turn this passive into active? And so we talked about it. And if I manage to sell a trust plan to just 25% of his 4,000 contacts, that's a $250,000 check. That's not bad. So it's like selling one of those $1.7 million houses.
So most likely.
And we do all the work. Here are the contacts. Go ahead.
$1,000.
And then we schedule one, and then we work our way through contacts, maybe alphabetically, who knows,
Let's say it's
you know,
$1,000.
and
$1,000.
and the all the work.
$1,000 of income per month. as soon as you qualify, you take that 36K right back. out.
Okay, hey, thank you. I appreciate you guys.
You're welcome.
The thing is,
Rob, nice to meet you.
For at least one more property.
I'm starting to
So,
see-
But if it's
Sunstone
multiple
Realty.
primaries.
Oh, nice. Sunstone. For sure. I've heard of Sunstone, yeah. Yeah, yeah. No. No, we're a different sort of Sunstone. We actually bring something of value. Yeah, yeah.
But, yeah,
Say, how much was it to do?
I'm planning on two member
It's free.
seminars.
It's $1,000.
And maybe webinars, or maybe even videos. and
Thank you
stuff
so
like
much.
that, too,
Yep.
so,
Yeah.
If you want me to get your phone number, text me. Actually, yeah. text
Yeah,
me.
our main key is
No, that's.
Yeah, text
you're
me
busy.
your phone number.
it is nothing out of your time other than here's a list of contacts on a spreadsheet or napkin or whatever. And then Vaughn and Catherine take care of all the scheduling and everything. And we keep track and everyone